Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ewa Kocińska-Lange, and I'm running the Office of National Center for Research and Development, NCBR, here in Brussels, together with Business Science Poland. And it's a pleasure for me to welcome all of you, and especially our guest, Anna Panagopoulou, at the next meeting of our Brussels Talk series, first one after the summer. And we couldn't go for any other topic, I think, having in mind that the new European Innovation Agenda was published just at the beginning of the summer. So that was a kind of intuitional choice, and I'm very happy that you're here with us. Anna is, as you probably know, director at the European Commission, director responsible for European research area and for innovation, and working with actually, a lot of topics linked with innovation, with research, with policy, and obviously was very much involved, and the whole directorate was involved in development of this agenda. So before we will go into the content, just a few technical remarks for all of you online. To contact us, to be in touch with us during the event, please use the chat function. There are two options for chat. There is a public one and there is a Q&A one. So we will, of course, manage wherever you will write your questions. But if you have some technical issues, something doesn't work, we will try to answer you. So please write that in the public. If you have questions for Anna, and you are very much welcome to ask questions live as well. Also, please use the chat. Of course, we have also a lot of questions that we received during the registration from you beforehand. So I think we have questions like for at least 2 hours or even more. So we will have to do some selection, but I will also, of course, take some questions coming live now during this hour, and also, of course, some of those ones which we received before the event. Okay, so I think from the technical point of view, that will be it. Now it's time to really go into the topic. I would assume that some of you, or a majority even, or maybe even everybody, read the document, the European Innovation Agenda. And apparently we have some questions because we see from your interest in the event, and it's quite big, that you're really wondering what's behind this agenda, and also our kind of reaction was that it's in principle not really that maybe revolutionary, in the sense that we heard those things in different places, we read those things in different places, but they are coming together, and that's definitely an added value. But the basic question, I think, is, and let's kick off the meeting with this one: why do we actually need this agenda, and why now? So with this, I will give you the floor, and I will also give some slides here. Just a second. Okay. So I hope you can see, and of course you will receive the slides, and Anna promised that you will even receive a bit more detailed slide than the ones we will use now. So this is something that will come.
Thank you very much, Eva. Good afternoon to everybody. I'm extremely happy for the invitation. And actually, this type of events fits very well to the overall communication strategy that we would like to inaugurate in the context of this innovation communication, the new European Innovation Agenda, which we strongly believe, the Commission, that it arrives at the right moment. And we have started to think about this communication a year ago. In order to address the crisis of the pandemic, in order to address the gaps that we see in the innovation environment, the framework that has been established in Europe. We know very well that in Europe we are excellent in new discoveries, in new research results, in patents, but we are not able to exploit as in the United States and in the China, and we are not even able to attract the funding that is needed in order to help new entrepreneurs, researchers, to bring into the market their discoveries and to create new startups and to scale those startups so that we have a competitive advantage in Europe vis-a-vis China and the United States. But also, we are talking a lot about the twin transition. And if we go to the next slide, I think it will accompany. We're talking a lot about the twin transition, but how we will be able to achieve this twin transition if we are not able to attract funding to disruptive innovation, to deep tech technology. So we do need to be leaders in the twin transition, in the green transition, and to do that, we should be able to create the possibilities and the environment for promoting deep tech technologies. As you know, during the last years, we have put a lot of funding on the table coming from the Horizon Europe program, from structural funds, for resilience and recovery funds, and other instruments in the EU. And this is not new. I mean, over the years, a lot of money have been spent on research and innovation. But what the statistics shows is that we still have a big innovation divide. We discuss it very often with the member states at the parliament. And in particular, in the context of innovation, we observe that 50% of the research and innovation investments are spent in 10% of European regions. So this divide is there, is persistent, and ask the policymakers to do something, to come up with new ideas. And last but not least, even before the crisis of the war in Ukraine, we knew very well that European sovereignty, autonomy, and technological leadership is a key. And nowadays, it's even more important that through innovation, we will be able to deliver that. So I think there are quite a lot of reasons why this agenda arises at the right moment. In addition, as you said, there were a lot of initiatives that have been taken place already in the context of innovation, starting with the Horizon Europe program. It was the first program for a time that we had 10 billion euros through the EIC on scale-ups and startups. Also through the different sectorial domains, we had the CHIPS Act, we have Digital Europe, so a lot of thematic areas where innovation is a key, but it is the first time that we had a holistic approach inside in the Commission, but also outside. So we really tried to listen to stakeholders. Stakeholders, they are not just member states and the typical R&I stakeholders, but the coalition of scale-ups, startups, and venture capitalists, and hear from them what they need in order to advance and excel at the global level. So if we go to the next slide, after all this consultation that took place over a year and a lot of discussions that we had internally in the Commission in order to see what we have to do at European level beyond the typical R&I policies areas in order to develop an enabling environment for deep tech innovation more generally in Europe, we have come up with this communication, which is composed by 5 flagships and 25 actions. For those that are following also the ERA communication, you may wonder what is the added value of this agenda. And you have 20 actions in the ERA communication, 25 in the policy agenda, in the innovation agenda. What is the difference? Actually, they are both complementary because the European research area addresses innovation through one of the actions or maybe 2 of the actions, but it does not go in depth on the framework conditions for developing deep tech innovation in Europe. And secondly, this innovation agenda, as I said, goes beyond the typical framework of R&I. So what the aim is that we ensure the coherency between activities of ERA and the activities on the European Innovation Agenda. By the way, it does not call European Innovation Area, which would have been very confusing, but it's an agenda, which means concrete actions that will complement what we are doing in the context of ERA. So which are those 5 flagships? I will start with the first one, is how we can improve the conditions for funding deep tech scale-ups in Europe. And there, the conditions could be regulatory conditions, but could be also new opportunities through investments. The second part is about enabling deep tech innovation through experimentation spaces and public procurement. So I think both issues are very important because we have already addressing a lot regulation on the single market, but we do need to do more in order to experiment and to test, first of all, how this new innovation will be brought in the European market. But also the issue of procurement, in particular innovation procurement, has been proved that it's not easy to implement it neither at European level nor at national level. The third issue is related very much to how we can accelerate innovation across Europe, alleviate the fragmentation between innovative regions, between regions, and help all regions to attain the appropriate level of innovation and collaborate between them. The fourth area is how we can foster, attract, and retain deep tech talent, and I would say talents in general. I think the issue of talents is something that we have discussed a lot the last 2 years, also in the context of European research area. Here is very much related to entrepreneurial talents. And last but not least, we are policymakers. We need to be able to monitor and to adapt our policy making. So what needs to be put in place in order to improve the tools that we have for policy making? So what are now these 25 actions, very rich agenda, that we put in place? So in this slide, you can see how these 25 actions are implemented, are grouped for each one of the flagship. I would like to apologize because under talents, we have 8 actions. You cannot see all of them, but I will send you the detailed presentation where you can see all the actions. Great. And I will start with the one on funding for deep tech scale-ups. We have EIC, we have InvestEU, okay, is funding. Is it enough? And what our colleagues in DG FISMA said to us, but also the community said to us, is that in Europe, we are very much pro-debt environment and much less pro-equity. Mm-hmm. Why? Because we have a taxation environment that encourages more debt than equity. And this is the first thing that the Commission would like to put in place. There is a new directive on debt equity bias reduction allowance that the Commission proposed on 13th of May, if I'm not mistaken, on corporate income tax. This is very much about a fair play field between equity and debt based on taxation. And this is one of the actions that now, of course, the Commission has to discuss with the co-legislators in order to put in place this new directive. But the second issue that we have seen and we have heard from the stakeholders is that there is a lack of large venture capital funds who are willing to subscribe large ticket deals values in Europe. And also there is a problem in relation to the listing in the stock market in Europe. So the Commission is about to prepare a new listing act that we expect to be in place in 2023. InvestEU, I think you know, it's there. And there is one pilot under InvestEU, which is called European Scale-Up Action for Risk Capital, which is quite successful. And the idea there is to put more funding or to expand this pilot under InvestEU further. And I would like to clarify that in this communication, there are no new money. Those that are following the interactions in the context of Horizon Europe in the Commission about money, you know it would have been extremely difficult to take money from parts of Horizon Europe to put in this communication. Exactly. So what we'll try to do is to make best effort on the basis of available money, and through this initiative to attract more institutional and private investments on activities related to deep tech innovation. Last but not least, there are 2 issues that they are very much gender related, because we believe that women are very dynamic in the venture capital market and in the scale-ups companies, but they are underrepresented. So there are concrete actions that we have put already in the context of the EAC Work Programme 2022 on European Innovation Gender and Diversity Index, but also a concrete action in the EID Women to Invest program in order to improve the diversity of entrepreneurs across European companies. So this is the first flagship. Maybe it's more difficult for our R&I community, but it is very essential for the framework conditions in the European market. So the second one is very much, if we go to the next slide, the second one is very much related. No, there is no slide, sorry.
This is everything
Yes,
together,
yes, all together, yeah. The second one is very much related to experimentation and the regulatory sandboxes. So a lot has been done in the single market to alleviate the fragmentation, to have a European single market, but still for the innovations and deep tech technologies that we want to promote, there is a need for more experimentations and to use some regulatory sandboxes. Sandboxes is the game that we play in the sea, basically. It's a protected environment, a very soft policy tool and a protected environment which help us to experiment how we could put in place in the market a new technology. So this is something that could be done at European level, and we have already started to do these activities in the area of artificial intelligence, blockchain, and we plan to do that also in the renewable hydrogen area, but it could be done at member state level, and we have a lot of cases that such activities happened at member state level. So what we propose to do through this communication, first, a guidance document at European level on the regulatory sandboxes. I think something like that would help the member states to consider being more active in the context of regulatory sandboxes. Second, as I said, concrete testing of the regulatory framework on areas that they are very important now for as critical infrastructure for energy, like the renewable hydrogen. And also, we would like to launch testing and experimentation facilities on artificial intelligence innovation. But this is not enough, and we have to see whether in the context of the state aid, we need also to consider a revision of the state aid framework for research and innovation in order to promote deep tech technology development in Europe. And last but not least, innovation procurement, we know very well, we are lagging behind. So the idea is to launch an innovation procurement specialist advisory service, which is going to help to provide advice at EU level and member state level in order to consider new ways in their regulation and their public services approach towards public procurement and in particular innovation procurement. So the third one, I think it's a very much in the heart and the DNA of R&I, whether this is at the European level or regional, national level, is what we can do to alleviate the fragmentation of innovation in regions, to bring regions together and make them to interact between them, but also at European level, and also to address the issue of the innovation divide. So there, the idea is to accelerate the strengthening the innovation across European innovation ecosystems, and with a very concrete aim to establish up to 100 regional innovation valleys, deep tech and beyond. The focus in the deep tech, but of course, there are regions that they are not ready probably for the deep tech. And also to double the number of hydrogen valleys that have been announced at the renewable, the Repower EU communication, and to promote synergies between structural funds, national funds, and European funds. And I would like to say there that we have really all the ingredients. We have the structural funds that are already in place and shared to the different member states. We have a new action under the European Innovation Ecosystem Program. We are aiming about up to 100 million euros spending on this activity, together with the spending of 70 million euros under interregional program under the responsibility of DG Regio, which is centrally managed. Mm-hmm. And we hope, plus we have the widening call, where we would like, of course, for the beneficiaries under widening to promote the same activity. So we try to bring all these elements together, all these instruments together, and to promote also and support the member states in order to leverage what they have at national level in order to support this new initiative. we have a synergies guidelines, which I hope will help all of us to make a synergies a reality, and a very strong collaboration within the Commission, which is very important, between the Commission, the DG Research and Innovation, and the DG Regio, in order to deliver this priority. Last but not least, there are two more initiatives under this part, is the creation of an InnoSpace and one-stop shop for innovation ecosystem players across Europe, and the launching of the Scale Up initiative under the ESC program, where what we have to do and we want to do is to promote 100 deep tech startups that they have the potential to scale up or even to become unicorns. The next flagship is about talents. A lot has been said about talents, and here I would like to say there are two things that we would like to address, or even three things. First, to train our researchers in order to become entrepreneurs. And this, we can do it through 1 million funding foreseen under EIT for establishing deep tech talents, but also we launched an interesting scheme under ESC and EIT. So we want to launch it in the next work program in order to give the opportunity from researchers to be able to train in companies and to develop the entrepreneurial skills and eventually to change their mindset of core careers. But also we have the establishment of the new EU talent pool, where we aim to attract talents within Europe and outside Europe, talents that they will be able to support the new technology, the innovation developments in Europe. Then the second part that we would like to address is how we promote women entrepreneurship and leadership schemes. So again, more women in deep tech innovation. And what is novelty and has received a lot of interest, even internally the Commission, but I saw also from the member states, is how we can establish a new group under the ESC forum to exchange best practices on startup employee stock options. So this is something new. It has been very much wanted internally and externally, and I think that will give us the possibility to work together with the member states and stakeholders. Last but not least, there are a lot of new initiatives in the context of Erasmus+. So how alliances will work more on innovation, concrete innovation to deliver this innovation agenda from the university side, a new community for practice between education and innovation. Again, the universities will play a very important role, and to launching of the new Digital Europe call to train experts in future-oriented fields. And the last thing is about policy making. Maybe this is the one with less of the actions, but quite important. So two issues. We are missing data about scale-ups, startups, and deep tech innovation. The innovation scoreboard does not provide us this information. How we can develop an harmonization of this type of data, of the definitions, and collect this data, and to see whether we could enhance the innovation scoreboard in the future with this information. And second, how we can further collaborate with the member states in order to deliver the innovation agenda, to attract the interest of the member states, but also to have a more coherent approach on innovation across Europe. And the idea there is to strengthen the role of the European Innovation Council Forum. I think that's all, and I hope it was not too long.
Well, it's actually quite an extensive document in terms of ambitions and actions. So, and 25, yeah, you said. So thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for this overview. And I see we have also quite some questions coming live, which is perfect. We have now more than half an hour to ask as many as possible. So I will now try to divide a bit my attention between my laptop to put them on the screen and the camera, and you, and I hope we will manage. So what do we have here? Maybe we will first take a question that is coming live now. So just a second. Let me manage this. Okay, let's see this one. So yeah, that's the question we already had before, but I think this is also quite interesting one. You said that this is really focused, and it is on deep tech. There's a question coming whether this is the right momentum for that in times of crisis at the moment.
Yes, it is the focus of the deep tech, and this is the novelty. And it is absolutely necessary for delivering technically the twin transition. Nevertheless, and during the discussions we had internally in the Commission, but also the first reactions that I've seen from the Council, the Research Working Party, but also from the ERAC that we discussed 2 days ago, we cannot only focus on deep tech. It will be deep tech, but through the implementation, in particular of the flagship 3 on the regional innovation valleys, we will be much more open, and it very much depends on the needs of the regions and the abilities of the region to go for deep tech or to address more disruptive innovation or even social innovation. So the Czech presidency is preparing the Council conclusions on the innovation communication, and I expect in these Council conclusions there will be certainly the opening that this communication will be implemented in the spirit of the deep tech, but there will be a kind of an opening also to the more traditional forms of innovation.
Yeah, thanks a lot. There was indeed also a question coming about social innovation. Yeah. So thanks for answering also this one. So deep tech is a focus, but it's not only for that. Okay.
If I may add something, Eva, for flagship 3 on the valleys, we count very much on smart specialization and structural funds. So it's very clear that we don't expect all the regions, if they want to participate, to use part specialization for deep tech.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Now we can go to a question that was asked live. It's related to universities and business communities and way of involving them, taking into account also quadruple helix policy.
Sorry,
quadruple helix. So this helix that it's involving the universities, business, society.
Yeah. So what we were doing, first of all, I would like to tell you that once the communication was adopted on the 5th of July, the 6th of July, our commission had a first meeting with a coalition of stakeholders, ecosystems, scale-up stakeholders, venture capitalists, to present the communication and to have their feedback. Second, with the same presentation was given also to the universities community. And what we're planning to do now is to have 2 meetings, or 1 meeting you have to see, where we present to the community of innovation stakeholders the universities communication and its priorities, and to the community of universities and university alliances and beyond, the innovation communication. And then we would like to have a meeting where we bring all stakeholders together, where we will try to engage them to work on synergy and to come up with the concrete proposals that they will contribute to the development of this communication. Now, in the EIC forum, we have the possibility to have not only member states, but also stakeholders. EIT community is there, EIC community is there. So eventually, we may envisage in the context of the EIC forum, a group of exchanging good practice, but synergies as well between the different stakeholders, and then to promote this activity, because it is very much in the heart of this communication, the role of universities and the role of communities coming from the research in the context of development of innovation actions and activities. So it's very much important to link.
Yeah, exactly. That's the key, I think, here indeed, to have everybody on board together somehow.
Somehow, exactly.
Okay, the starting point could be doing some workshops for different groups, but then to bring them together, that would be very useful. Okay, so there is a question now coming to the relation of the agenda of Horizon Europe, especially missions and partnerships. Is it somehow related? And of course, from our point of view, the question was, but you actually partly answered that already. Is the Horizon money involved somehow in this? Because that was the one of the questions as well. Where the budget is coming from to implement all those 25 actions. You already mentioned some of the things, but that's also in relation to Horizon Europe, I think. And there's also a question related to the role of NCPs in this. So shall they promote somehow the agenda along horizon, or how, and so on?
So first of all, you can imagine there was a long discussion internally in the Commission services on how we deliver these actions. And as I said, there was no appetite for earmarking new money to this communication. In particular for Flagship 3, there were a lot of discussion whether this could be a new EU mission or not, and whether the money would come from Pillar 2 or not. Okay. So the deliberations were not very easy, but the outcome of it was that it's more Pillar 3, is mainly Pillar 3,
exactly.
plus the widening countries that will be contributing to this activity. Now, for the widening, we have already the calls of the Excellence Hubs that has been launched, and with a lot of success. And we think we can build up on this success in order to contribute through the subsequent calls of the Excellent Hubs to the implementation of Flagship 3. From Pillar 3, it will be mainly, of course, European Innovation Ecosystem, but the whole EIC, with the EIC Accelerator, even the Pathfinder and the transition, in particular the Accelerator, and the concentration on key critical technologies through the challenges, are contributors also to the delivery and the implementation of this communication. And in addition, as you may see, there are some activities like the internship schemes, EIT, Erasmus, that are also contributing to the delivery of this communication. InvestEU as well. What I don't know is that the President von der Leyen announced a new EU sovereignty fund at her speech. And we don't know exactly how this fund will be implemented. And we have to see whether there will be synergies between the innovation communication, its implementation, and this new sovereignty fund. But this is something that for the moment we don't know, and we would like to have more information about it.
Yeah, but the last thing was already quite fresh, so still have to wait for the details. Okay.
Sorry, for the role of NCPs. Yes. So I see a dual role for NCPs. First of all, once we have the concrete actions, what we can provide to NCPs is a kind of a two-pager, so that we give the overall framework for the innovation communication, and each time they present and explain the concrete actions that fits in the 25 actions of the innovation communication, they can put it in the political framework. Okay. And second, more detailed information for how these actions will be implemented. The implementation of Flagship 3, which is, let's say, the critical mass of funding through the communication, is something that we still have to develop. So we don't have it yet. Once we will work with each region, come up with this implementation roadmap for this flagship, then we'll share it also with the relevant NCPs. Okay. And last but not least, the linkages between missions and what we do. In missions, there are a lot of activities that they are local based. So we try not to overlap what is there, but we complement what is there. And for partnerships, the new Innovative SMEs partnership, well-known Eureka, which is all about innovation ecosystem and companies, certainly will play a role also on the delivery of this communication. And you probably know that we have a new MOU signed between the Commission and the Eureka network. And part of the MOU is how we collaborate together to deliver this new innovation communication.
Okay, thank you. So still a lot to come on this. Okay, now we have a question that is related to the links between the agenda and the partnerships for regional innovation, and also ERA hubs. And this ERA hub also was appearing in some other questions. So this is really something that attracts attention, apparently.
So I will start with the Partnership for Regional Innovation. This Partnership for Regional Innovation is a new initiative that was launched by GRC with, of course, the support from Commissioner Gabriel and Commissioner Ferreira. And the aim is to create this whole governance and strategic approach in the regions that they are interested to participate to the pilot, on how they will be able to define a strategy for innovation in their region, to ensure a coherent or whole governance approach with all the stakeholders, and to attract investments on their strategic areas that they would like to invest. So in a way, and then is a handbook that will help the regions to have this whole strategic approach.
Okay.
So in this sense, we expect that some of those regions that they are participating to the pilot will be interesting to contribute to the delivery of the deep tech valleys as well. But the deep tech valleys is coming on the top, or in addition. That means that those regions that they will participate to the delivery of deep tech valleys should not be only the ones that they participate to the PRIP, but it could be any region that they are benefiting from structural funds. And the idea there would be to have calls launched at European level through the two programs that I mentioned, European Innovation Ecosystem and I3, and then the regions will participate there, and they will probably come with additional funding with activities they do at local level. So in a way, the aim of the PRIs, of the Partners for Regional Innovation, is to develop this new strategic approach at the regions towards developing innovation activities and connecting these activities to the European value chains and attracting funding from different instruments. And what we want to do is to deliver concrete projects. And it's possible that regions that they are participating to the Partners for Regional Innovation, they would be interesting also to participate to the development of this deep tech valley. So it's complementarity. Now, about the ERA hubs. The ERA hubs always meant to be the capabilities and the collaboration at regional level in order to enabling the regions to test new technologies, to promote new technologies and innovation, to bring universities together with the local authorities, and to provide them facilities and services to the local authorities, or to business, or to new companies, or to scale-ups, to startups, in order to test their innovation. While we were discussing the ERA policy agenda, we thought that for the moment, we didn't put the final fees for commitments of the member states on the ERA hubs, because first we wanted to see how we are going to develop this flagship on regional innovation. So now that we are developing the implementation modality for the flagship on regional innovation, we have to see how concretely the ERA hubs will fit in. Of course, we have launched calls for pilots on the ERA hubs.
Okay.
The one does not exclude the other. But we would like to bring these two concepts together, because at the end they fit together.
Okay, thank you. And let's stay a bit in this innovation divide, or like Commissioner recently said, innovation cohesion topic. And there are quite some questions coming related to the valleys, to more details about them. First of all, there's 100 mentioned, so there's always a question why 100 and so on. But more specifically, there's also a question coming. Sorry, that I think that was not the one that I wanted. Just a second. There was a question about how to start, and that in this very second there was another one appearing. So just let me. This is always a bit tricky. Yes. Okay. Yes, that was the question coming from the point of view that you're just hearing about that and you don't know that much where to start building this ecosystem for having at the end regional innovation valley.
So first of all, why 100? It's a nice figure. Yeah. No, it's not only we are talking about 100 scale-ups, 100 regional innovation. Yeah. No, it's not only that. It's actually, we were discussing a lot also with DG Regio, how much budget and how many valleys. And that depends very much on the appetite of the regions as well. It is an initiative at European level, but depends very much of the bottom-up approach that the regions will take. So we set up to, because we want to have a target for this period, financial period, but if the regions, they are ready to invest also at local level, inspired by what we are going to do at European level, I think we can even have more.
Okay.
So the communication speaks about the levels of up to 10 billions coming from the countries, because there is a lot of funding available in the countries. It's a matter of prioritization also from the countries. Now, for the concrete implementation, I cannot tell you more, because we really need to sit down and to prepare the implementation roadmap so that it will be clear also for universities, local stakeholders, public authorities, how they could be engaged and promote and participate to the implementation of these regional innovation values. But the idea is to have calls starting up to the end of 2023, beginning 2024, both from Horizon Europe and I3. We have to see how we make these calls complementary, so to work in synergy. And that will be the kickoff to attract the interest of the regions. And then through these work programs, we'll define the conditions for how this will happen.
Yeah, it's a challenge to combine different sources of funding as well, and it's not such an easy puzzle. And now I'll come back to this question that I first put on the screen that appeared. It's again the same thing. It appeared during your intervention about partnerships of regional innovation. So I think it was just to clarify what's the difference between the already existing those S3 partnerships and the regional innovation. In the frame of the regional innovation strategies.
Sorry,
what's the difference of partnerships of regional innovation to the already existing S3 partnerships?
Well, I mean, I'm not coming from DG Regio, and I cannot, I'm not either from GRC, but in practice, S3 exists, and it is actually the smart specialization and the work that has been done on the basis of the smart specialization is the basis also for using the structural funds in the current MFF. The Partners for Regional Innovation is a pilot, is a new approach that may inspire the future spending at regions at the next MFF. But I think that in a way, the Partners for Regional Innovation is more a pilot and experimentation, and will inform the next framework period. This is how I see it.
Okay, thank you. And now there is a question related to another fields, and this one is talking about humanities. Is this agenda relevant for humanities? And there was also a question before asking about health and how much health is or not is involved in the agenda.
So the areas that we have identified in this agenda, they are energy, as you can imagine, food security, is digital, it is health. I don't know whether I miss something now. Whether humanities is involved, as I said, social innovation and humanities is something that is not so prominent in this agenda. But again, it's very much up to the regions whether they would like to come up with ideas on that.
So it's not excluding.
It's not excluding. This is what I said. And if you read carefully the communication, in particular the flagship 3, you will see that there is an opening. It's not all about deep tech. There is the sentence deep tech, but then it softened a little bit the language. Also would like to say, okay, social innovation, it's in my view, without using the absolute term of the definition of the term, is also all the work that is foreseen in relation to talents, in relation to attracting new talents outside Europe, in relation to find job for young people. So there is, and even the issue of women. So there are elements that in the broader sense, you can think about social innovation as well, but it is a broader term. So I'm not saying.
Okay, but that's a good news. I think there's also a follow-up comment. I think that I would put in here. That they are always relevant for innovation, much more than people think. Yeah.
I mean, it's exactly what I said.
This is exactly the comment,
this is exactly what I said.
Okay, that's good, and indeed, it's always better to also think it from different perspectives, even if it's a very deep technology. There's also one. I think this is the only one question that it's related to state aid framework here. quite detailed, so I don't know if you can answer in detail as well. But about the aspects of the state aid framework that are in particular focus as it comes to this.
Well, I cannot answer at this moment because, as you know, the state aid framework is something that is very complex and very difficult to reply. But you know very well that we have done a lot of efforts in the state aid framework for research and innovation. In particular, if we think about the Seal of Excellence, if we think about the partnerships that through the state aid framework we tried to facilitate the funding on research and innovation in the broader sense. But we have to see, in the particular now, when we speak about disruptive and deep tech innovation, what could be done more. But at this stage, I'm not in a position to say something more.
Yeah, okay. I'll just have maybe a follow-up question, but a bit more into the content of the whole agenda about those sandboxes and ideas. You know, that for that you need to really involve member states and services and like work with them actively. There are some things that are happening. I can say from our perspective that for innovation procurement, which you mentioned, we as NCBR are quite active and successful. Even we got a runners-up position in the last year European Innovation Procurement Awards. So there is something going on, but of course on the global European, let's say, scale is probably not enough, and this is not only about innovation procurement, obviously.
So what we plan to do, there are two ways that we are working on innovation procurement. First, internally in the Commission, we have a task force that has been established together with DG Grow. And it was somehow, I would say, dead for a couple of years with many changes internally in the Commission. And now we were about to revitalize it and to see internally how we can take more initiatives from the European side in relation to innovation procurement. That's one strand. The second strand that we would like to work is in the context of the ESC Forum. We have established a specific working group on the innovation procurement where all the member states are invited to participate. And the aim is really to help member states to exchange good practices, to inform about new initiatives. And then we have to see in this context of this ESC working group whether there is the appetite for more experimentation and more work in the context also of innovation procurement and sandboxes. So we can look at both sides in order to implement these activities. And as you said, in the context of the ESC work program, we also have all these prizes and activities in support of the innovation procurement.
Okay. Let's look into that. That's not an easy thing. Definitely not. But it's when it's going on and there is a positive response from the market, it makes really sense and kind of pays off.
The thing is, of course, that we need to see also what is the appetite of the member states, because we can take a lot of initiative, but at the end, the competence is not with us; it's mainly with the member states.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I can only say that it seems like Poland is at least interested.
Okay, very good.
Okay, we have a bit a longer question here that's related to mid-caps, because it's everything always about startups, scale-ups, SMEs, but also mid-caps on the market that probably quite recently some of them even just went out of this group of SMEs, but are still, not really huge, and there's this way of them to be also supported.
So first of all, I would like to say that those that are following the European Innovation Council program, you know very well mid-caps is not the subject of funding, only on exceptional cases. And I think that was what actually the member states asked for, because they wanted the concentration of the funding to go to SMEs and to startups and scale-ups. Nevertheless, under the access to finance, the first flagship, everything is open. And the SCLR that we are talking about is also open to mid-caps. So we expect that this access to finance initiative is not going to be only focused on startups and scale-ups. Of course, the objective is to attract funding for those, but it will go beyond that. So there is no limit basically there, because the idea is to attract more private and institutional investments to companies, so including those mid-caps.
Okay, because a participant is worrying about, ending up in some dead valley as a mid-cap, but indeed, now when I was reading the agenda, indeed it was coming from this research innovation bubble a bit quite interesting to see that there's a listing, pensions, and the different instruments.
All these are they are not excluding mid-caps.
Exactly, this is not closed. Okay, let's see what kind of questions we still have here in the chat, and again, thanks a lot for everyone to putting them here. We have more like a comment with a question that policy-wise Europe is focused on research, innovation, and missing a bit entrepreneurship as the bridge between research and innovation. So if you could add maybe a few things about that in context of the agenda.
It's a very valid point, and we address that through the innovation committee, the ERA communication, first of all, because one of the main issues is how we can exploit the results of the research, even starting from basic research and not necessarily from the high TRL, and how we can enable them to bring them to the market and make these links with the industry. So there I would like to say three things. First, in the context of ERA, we do a lot about knowledge valorization. Now at the Council, there is a new Council recommendation about knowledge valorization, and I think this will help a lot to make the bridge between research, the results, and bringing them to the market. The second issue that I would like to say is that with this whole governance approach that we want to establish at regional level, we would like to bring together very close the business, the industry, the companies, and the universities and the research organizations, and to establish this value chain approach across the whole path from research to the market to innovation. Under ERA, we also launched this new industrial roadmaps initiative, which aims exactly to do the same. But also I would like to highlight that in order to bring something to the market and to the industry, you need to test it. And there I see research infrastructures and technology infrastructures to play also a very important role. So I believe that we have all the elements and the instrument there, the willingness, but we do need to do more, including also the traineeship of how we can train researchers in order to have more entrepreneurial mindset and to reach out to the market. And I think this is part of another big chapter that we are working. This is the research assessment. So how through the change of the research assessment, we promote excellence, not just fantastic publications or good teaching or doing good research, but also on enable and helping those researchers to make the results available and beneficial for the challenges and the market.
Yeah, that's a key thing is indeed here to have everybody on board. And apparently the ambitions of the agenda also attracting attention of our participants, because there are some questions related to more like how this will be implemented. So there is one asking, I think it's in relation to, first of all, the talents flagship, plus maybe a bit as well on the grounds of the recent State of the Union speech that the President of the Commission gave, and announcing years of skills
training and skills.
Exactly, for next year. So there are questions here related to what extent you are working with DG EAC on this. And there is also another one, I will already put it because I think it's interconnected, but more broad in the sense of implementing. If you plan to establish some task force or something to coordinate this, because indeed this is going into different topics under supervision or responsibility of different DGs. So it's a huge plan.
Very good question. And actually, this is what we have already done.
Okay.
From the designing the flagships and preparing the communication. And actually, it was not just at the level of the DGs, it was even at the level of the commissioners. I would like to say here that there is a very strong buy-in from all relevant commissioners on this communication, where they were discussing and giving the political guidance to the services for those flagships. Okay. And internally, the Commission, we have established indeed an inter-service group to prepare the communication. And now we are preparing a roadmap on the implementation of this communication, where we would like to exactly design what are the steps and who is the responsible to do that in close collaboration, not only with DG Act, but with DG FISMA, with DG GROW, with DG TAXUD, all the services, DG RIGI, all the services that they are contributing to this communication. And indeed, we are considering to continue this approach in order to deliver this very ambitious agenda. This is the only way.
Yeah, that's true. We have to work together, not only with external partners and stakeholders, but also internally. Okay, great. Yeah, we have a bit of a longer one, still 5 minutes left. Researchers claim that Europe has lost against US as it comes to innovation policy. Also, as it comes to managerial economy, while US has been able to develop an entrepreneurial economy and a stronger focus on entrepreneurial firms, which seem to be more effective in turning emerging technologies to economic benefits. So what are your comments?
I mean, I think the why, it's not only for the Commission, it's for the whole Union. Huh? Yes. We are more conservative. We are more less risk averse. Less risk averse. I mean, if I have to think about the way we spend funding in the EU, we're always thinking very much about risks and how we ensure that the money are not lost. EIC, for example, in its respect, is very innovative because it's the first time that at EU level we take risk and we dare to say probably we'll lose some money by investing to these companies. So I think it is a matter of mentality, and it's a matter of the way that the Union works versus the United States. But I also believe that the latest political initiatives from the European Union, from the Commission, from the Member States together with the Parliament paves the way for changing step by step this mentality. So this is what I would like to say. I cannot say more. I mean, this is it. But we have funding. Funding there is there at European level, at private level, from the Commission. There is funding available. Now the thing is how we attract this funding and make a difference in the mindset about taking more risks and to invest on companies.
Yeah, that's definitely a kind of a culture difference that it is between our continents, even not only countries. Okay, we have a bit more general question, but I think it's also quite important. How do you see that this agenda will actually help widening countries to use the potential that they have in Horizon Europe?
So this is a very important point, because I would like to say that despite the fact that you see a lot of focus on deep tech, I can reassure you that while we are preparing this agenda internally in the Commission, and in particular Commissioner Gabriel was very much about the innovation cohesion, as you said, in a much positive words rather than innovation divide. So certainly, this is one of the issues that we will follow very closely. I talked about data before, and I talk about innovation scoreboard. So certainly this is something that we have to see, how we will be able to monitoring the effect of this communication and in general the reduction of the innovation divide in Europe. We believe that with the actions that we put in place, I mean, thinking about the new legislation, about deep debt versus equity, or about the SCLR, or about the Listing Act, or even about the talents, or the innovation flagship, or innovation procurement, the regional innovation flagship, or the innovation procurement. All these are activities that could be advanced and implemented also in widening countries. As I said, we have a particular focus under the widening program, and there is an EU talent initiative, a pilot under the widening program, which is again about promoting the entrepreneurial experience and skills of researchers coming from the widening countries. So while we have to combine what we do under the rest of the Horizon Europe program. What we do under innovative program, we have the EIC plugin, which is going also to contribute to this, plus the structural funds. So I think what we have now on the table, it's much more comprehensive and complete than what we have in the past. Member states, they also have the Resilience and Recovery Fund, and many of those member states, they have decided to spend more than 45 billion euros on research and innovation. So in the broader sense, if we put the puzzle all together, I believe that widening countries will have a more active presence in the overall ERA landscape, and in particular on the implementation of this innovation agenda.
Yeah, that would be indeed great, because I think that we all agree, especially from widening countries, that this is more about unlocking the excellence and the potential than, kind of discussion whether this is excellence there or it's not, and so on. So that's something that would definitely be appreciated. Okay, thanks. We are almost done, but I see two questions that I would like to still ask you. I hope they are rather quick. So one is very pragmatic in the sense it's related to the process. You mentioned the roadmap implementation. So like when we can expect it and who is in charge?
So in charge, of course, is DG Research and Innovation.
Okay.
And we are drafting as we speak. And then we have to discuss it internally in the Commission, and then we'll put it in place. Now, I don't know how much of this roadmap or whether the Council conclusions on innovation agenda will have a say, or we have a link to the roadmap. But what is even more important than this roadmap is to start seeing the actions to put in place. And if you see in the communication, there is a timeline for each one of the actions. And from the programming point of view, we start already to put in our Horizon Europe program all the funding. We have some calls that are already out, some others that are to be put in the programming for next year. So we are advancing, and then we would like to communicate in a coherent way how this communication will be implemented and what are the steps to the outside world as well. So still it'll be the end of the year, I think.
Okay.
No, we cannot wait more because the communication has been started to be implemented.
Okay. And really last one, I know that there are more questions, but we're running out of time. So I'm sorry to the others that I was not able to put everything. There is one question coming from Ukrainian participant asking if there is any way for Ukrainian regions to be somehow involved.
I don't know about Ukrainian regions, but as you know, Ukrainian is considered to be associated to the program. So each country associated to the program, normally speaking, they have the right to participate to any calls that we launch under Horizon Europe. In addition to that, there are a lot of activities that has been already foreseen under EIC already now for Ukrainian entrepreneurs. Yeah. So there will be possibilities for Ukrainian beneficiaries, now regions, I'm not so sure how the call will go out, to participate to this agenda.
Okay, that's also a very good news, I think. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot again for coming, for joining us, and for answering so many questions. I think we really had a lot of them. So thanks also to you, to our online participants for being so active and interested in our Brussels Talks event. And of course, we will come back next month with a new edition, and I hope to see you also there. Thank you very much, and goodbye. Have a nice weekend, everybody.
Thank you.